Hi everyone, so I wanted to record a video for you around approaching training when you get injured. Oftentimes you can start a program, it can be going really well, and then injuries do happen. These are unfortunately the realities of being an athlete, that injuries occur even if you do all the right things, prepare as best as possible. Sometimes injuries are going to happen anyway. Or you might have been facing a long-term injury that is affecting you and you're not really sure how to approach it. So I wanted to share a couple of kind of key principles you can use to help to manage yourself, recalibrate your goals, think about how to manage expectation and celebrate small wins. So this really is for you if you're thinking about how to approach an injury, or you've been injured, or you're currently experiencing injury, or if in the future you come across a situation where unfortunately you do pick up an injury and you're not sure how to manage that. This hopefully will give you some ideas of basic principles of how to manage that and, as I say, recalibrate goals and look to find the positives and opportunities. So the first one is to think about the opportunity that sometimes injury can afford us. Often, if you're an athlete, you're super busy, you are doing lots of training, you might be training multiple times in a day, certainly many sessions in a week, and what that means is sometimes you can't put as much time and energy into certain things as others. When we do get an injury, what this does is it allows us to kind of reassess what the week's looking like, where we're spending our time, and it allows us to identify new opportunities for growth and development. So let's say, for example, you've always been very good at some of your speed and some of the strength development, but let's say upper body wise, that's something which has always been something you wanted to develop on. And unfortunately you pick up an ankle injury or a knee injury, and now you've got time to focus on some of those things. So in the broader scope of injury, what we're trying to do is get back to sport in hopefully a better position than when we left it. This isn't always as easy as it sounds, but it's a good aim is to try and go back to sport in a better position, a more complete athlete, using the time that injuries afforded you. So try to think about the opportunity that it exists in that injury time frame so that you can continue to progress forward. So finding opportunities for development during the injury phase is really key, as that allows you to keep pushing forward, become motivated and find new opportunities for growth and development. The second one is this kind of dichotomy really between perception and reality. Perception on the left is what people perceive as what's happened to them, that they have a zero function now, that they are an injured athlete, that they are totally 100% injured and they have 0% function. That's a psychological issue, really. It's a kind of perception of your current state. The reality, though, is that you still have 95%, unless we're talking about a significant injury. Oftentimes we're talking about injuries that are sort of limiting ability to train. Actually, 95% of your body is still functional. Now, it may stop you from playing your sport, but the point here is to recognise what your body can do and not what it can't do. Because if you focus on things you can't do, it's kind of a losing battle. You're always going to find something that you can't do. Looking at the reality, though, of what we can do is a really positive flip on this, because it still means that we can train again all those things that otherwise we wouldn't have had as much time to focus on. So, if a typical one in hockey, let's say, it would be an ankle or a knee injury. Well, if it's only one ankle or one knee that's being affected, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that's not a significant long-term injury, then we can still train around it really effectively. We can still, there's a lot of research around the impact and positive work of focusing on the opposite limb. So for example, if you've injured your right leg, you can do lots of really positive work on the left leg, which means when you come back, you're in a better position, you've got one stronger leg, and there is a kind of crossover effect, which essentially enables you to maintain strength in an injured limb by training the other limb, which is a really cool kind of aspect of training that people sometimes forget about, and they think, well, if I can't train one, I may as well not train both. But why have two weak legs when you can have only one for a short period of time, and then you've got a better base to build from. So the reality is, try and focus on what you can do when your body's currently functionally capable of. Recalibrate goals. As soon as you've got injured, it's really important that you kind of stop and reassess and think, okay, well, I did have this goal to get to from point A to point B. Now we've kind of come off that path and we're on a different path. We're going to get back onto that path, but in order to get there, we're going to have to carve out a different route to get there. The only way we can do that really is by having a new set of goals to aim towards. So if you've got a long-term selection goal, let's say, and the injury is kind of stunting your ability to get there, the key thing in the short term is to say, okay, well, that's not going to happen immediately. It's still the long-term goal. For now, I've got a new set of goals I'm going to try and work towards, and that really helps with motivation. Also, very important to connect with other people. Don't try and feel like don't at least feel like you're isolated during periods of injury. Talk to other people, share your frustrations, share the challenges you're facing. And it helps because you get that support from other people, from your coach, from your family, and that will really help you to manage it because you've got the support of other people. That's really important. And finally, celebrate your wins. Even if you are injured, as I said, we've got these opportunities to do some extra training in other areas. If you've kicked on and got a PB in something else, like an upper body or lower body, vice versa, whichever one hasn't been injured, then that's a really good opportunity to think about celebrating those wins. You've improved yourself as an athlete in some capacity, even though you've been injured, and that tells you a lot about your kind of strength of character and the fact you're able to really kind of focus on the positives that you can work on, the things that you can do. As I say, focusing on the 95%, not the 0% mentality, and viewing the opportunities that exist. All of these three things kind of fall in line with self-determination theory, which is a sort of theory of motivation that suggests that motivation is determined by our autonomy, so that's our ability to make choice and have control over our own destiny, if you like. So when we're injured, being able to make choices of what we're doing, what our goals are, what we're going to do next, and to have some control over that rather than feeling like totally out of control during the process. Competency, so feeling like we are again making progress towards goals and that we're still able to accomplish things, and certainly working on things that we're good at gives us confidence because we know we're good at it. We know we're confident because we're competent in those areas. And then finally, relatedness, which is about connection with other people and doing things together. So even if you can be involved in team training, for example, in some capacity, that's going to really help to keep you motivated, so you've still got that kind of sense of connection with others. So I hope it's been helpful. There's a kind of couple of key principles around how to approach training when you're injured so you can keep progressing forwards.